Hi, my name is Eddy Ankrett. Welcome to my life biography. I hope you find it interesting and also inspiring. I was born in Birmingham, in a working class area of Birmingham, and I grew up going to a small independent school, which was for juniors, and then I went on to a senior school. Obviously, it was a working class upbringing, and the only thing that came out of my school education was that I was very, very good at sport. And for the last 2 years of my education, I had the England badminton coach who coached me in badminton, but didn't teach me anything that was academic. So he threw up a shuttlecock, I hit it, so of course I became a badminton player. But academically, I left school. I call myself academically stupid. When I was at school, obviously it came to the end of my education and the careers officer sat me down. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but they seemed to guide me towards becoming a salesman in retail, and I went to Hepworth's Tailors, where I was taken on as a junior salesman, and I stood in a line with all the other lads, and Mr. Bottrell said to me, "Edward, we want you to make the tea in the morning, fetch the sandwiches, do the same at lunchtime and the same in the afternoon." You could tell that my mum and dad bought me a suit, the old black shoes and a stiff collar. The thought of making the tea I felt was awful, but what could I do about it? So I started making the tea. There was 35 staff in the shop in the centre of Birmingham. The company was called Hepworth's, and when I started going out, fetching the sandwiches, fetching the toast in the morning, and also the lunchtime sandwiches and the afternoon stuff that they wanted, I suddenly realised that it also helped my social life, because I could chat up all the girls in the stores, and also if I got to know them and chatted them up and took them on dates, I could also get discounts. So I suddenly realised that if I bought myself a toaster, did the sandwiches myself, I could actually make more money doing that, and that's what I did. So I started getting lots of dates, which was super in the evenings, but in the daytime I started taking the money off the guys, doing the sandwiches myself, and in the end I ended up making £25 a week when my actual salary at the shop was £4.50 a week. So of course when Mr. Bottrell, after a year, said to me, "Edward, we're very pleased with what you've done. We're now going to promote you to the shop floor and increase your salary to £7.50 a week, and I want you to train little Johnny, who is going to take over from you," I cried, because I suddenly thought, A, my social life's going to go for a ball of chalk, but also my income was going to go down from £25 plus my £4.50 down to £7.50 a week. But anyway, I had to do it. But then I moved on, and then I went from there to a tailoring shop in Small Heath. From there, I went into radio TV selling, and I went as manager of a TV shop on the Coventry Road in Small Heath, and I started enjoying working in the radio TV industry. I then got promoted to a shop in West Bromwich on the High Street, and it was called Top Rank Home and Leisure. And this little shop was so small you could walk past it and not realise it was there. So because a lot of my customers were Asians, I used to, when they came in the door, say to them, "Could you teach me a little bit of your language?" So I learnt Salam Alaikum, Walaikum Assalam, which is good morning, God bless you, how are you? And Tiga, which is good. And when people used to come in, I used to say this to them, so they used to be really, really impressed. And because there were so many Asians in West Bromwich, the shop became very successful, sold lots of shortwave radios, until one day somebody came in and I said to them, "What's a certain word for say thank you?" And he taught me this word, and the next person that came in, I was talking to him, and I then said this word to him, and he said, "What did you say?" And I went, "Did it again?" And he said, "You've just told me to F off." I said, "Oh my God." So obviously my little ruse of being a super guy, it sort of went wrong for that one. But anyway, so I'm in this shop, and again, as I mentioned at the start, it's a little shop and nobody knew it was there. So I decided to get some speakers. In the old days, we used to have speaker systems, and so I put 2 speakers out the front of the shop, and I put on music, and as people walked past, of course, they heard the loud music and they looked at my shop. So it worked. But the only problem was all the retailers in the area complained about me. Along came the press. The press did a story on me, front page story, and I got actually taken away by the police because for disturbing the peace. So again, it worked, front page story. So that was my that was my experience in West Bromwich. I then got my first job as a representative for Hot Point washing machines. I became the youngest representative, and I was the rep for the West Midlands, and lo and behold, they gave me a Cortina 1600E with wood dash inside, and I thought, I've made it, executive car, and I used to go out and see all these customers. Of course, I got on with everybody. I loved the job. I became one of their top salesmen, and there's lots and lots of stories around the fun I had as a representative for Hot Point. But then I did that for a number of years, and then I saw a job advertised as regional manager for Kenwood Mixers. So there was a man called Ken Wood who interviewed me, and he made these fabulous Kenwood chefs, which I'm sure everybody's heard of. So I became the regional manager for Kenwood, and in those days, anything north of the Watford Gap, companies didn't really want to know about. So I was regional manager for the North, Scotland, Ireland, and I had all these demonstrators in the department stores demonstrating the Kenwood chefs. And I had a great life, and I really, really enjoyed it, until one day I had to go to Hull, which is before the motorways, and it is a long, long way to go. So I booked a hotel, and I went and saw a man who had a company called Comet Radio Vision, and his dad had died, left him the company. His name was Michael Hollenbury. His dad had left him the company, and he was an accountant, and we started talking, and of course we got on to him buying some stock, which I think he did, and he then said to me, "You're staying overnight?" And I said, "Yes." And he said to me, "Well, can I bring somebody to see you?" I said, "Of course you can." So I brought this man called Jerry Mason, who was the chairman of New Hunslick Rovers Rugby Club, and we had a conversation, and what came out of that was the start of Comet Discount Warehouses. So I, in the end, the following morning, crazy to think about it now, I rang up Kenwood and I resigned and said I want to give my notice in, and I started as sales manager in those days for Comet Discount Warehouses, and my friend Nick Lightower was the buyer, I was the salesman, and we opened our first warehouse in Armory Road, Leeds. As we all know, Comet then took off and became a hugely successful company, and I was basically the salesman, sales director, and we opened warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. 40 warehouses were opened, and I had a fantastic job. I had a fantastic time. I had a new car every 3 months if I wanted it. So much money was being made, and it was a fascinating experience. So I did that, and then because I'd made a name for myself with Comet, I started getting headhunted. So the headhunting happened, and I got offered the MD-ship of Seiko Watches, but I didn't feel I knew anything about watches. Seiko were using an agent, but wanted to bring their product directly to the country and open their own company, but I didn't feel that I knew much about watches. But then along came Mitsubishi, and they had a company called Teleton, and they offered me managing director and marketing director of Europe, and I had this manor house in Essex with a moat around it. I had a fabulous Jaguar, and I had made it. So here I am now as managing director of Teleton, which is part of Mitsubishi, and at the age of 31, leaving school with no qualifications, only good at sport, academically stupid, my mouth and my personality got me to where I wanted to be. I did say to my mother at the age of 30, I wanted to be a sales manager and earn £3,000 a year. Lo and behold, I ended up as a managing director of a large multinational company and a great salary and fabulous expense account. What I suddenly realised by taking that job was that I was wearing a striped suit every day and I was travelling the world and I didn't enjoy it. Before I got that job, I used to play squash 2 or 3 times a week and I used to go out with the lads on a Wednesday and Friday. Lo and behold, all that went for a ball of chalk. I was travelling Monday to Friday, coming back at weekends and too knackered to do anything at the weekends. And I thought, this is not the life that I wanted, but I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. So I went to Mr. Tanaka and said, I'm going to go. And he said, please don't go. We all like you. And I said, but I'm not happy. And he said, well, have 6 months off, have a sabbatical and let's talk again. I said, I'm not coming back